Hello, listeners. Hi, my name is Madhavi, and I'm so happy to have you on UppTalk. You have come to the right place if you want to learn about IT and do really cool things with your hands. We are not just another IT company when I say UppTalk. Think of us as your learning partner dedicated to helping you reach your full potential. We have top notch hands on courses to help you build your business, whether you are new to technology or want to move up in your current job. Let's look around this as our first step towards learning.
I am going to the home page. I will go to manage or the job based structure. And after that, I will go into create workflow. I have already have some positions. According to the positions, I will create the workflow when you people will try to create a workflow. Try to, when you have your own data, try to create a workflow by creating the approvals like some as a dynamic role, some as a dynamic role that you can explore how the workflow will be triggering. I am going to the workflow. Let's go and create a scenario. I'm creating a scenario for MDF object. Let's go and create a WF and the score. Uh, let's take something as a business unit. Change. This is the workflow name which I'm specifying. The ID is there. And I'm not taking anything as a demand in days. I'm scrolling down. I will take as position. Let me go into the Excel. And in the Excel, I have already taken some positions. Here you can see I have taken the list of approval which I saved it here because each and every time I need to go. There is no need for me to go into the employee profile. This is the position first approval. I will copy this and I will approve a rule. I will try to paste it here. Here you can see that approval is coming. And the second level also, I will try to take the position when you people will try to explore. You take one as a dynamic rule, one as a dynamic rule, one as a position. How the workflow is triggering. More of the workflow will be moving from one level to another level that you can explore. Second level. Who is the second? This is the position ID. Again into the approval rule. And the third, again I am going with the position. This is the position ID. And here I will paste it. And then these are the three approvals which I have taken. Now I'm not taking anything as a contributor CC role. I will put it my email ID that to check the final confirmation. Let me check once my email ID is correct. I will put my email ID. Just be able with. Let me check one. And I will click on save. I have a workflow created for the MDF object. What is the object? That is business unit. And the business unit we are using for create and change. That is the workflow which I created. These are the level of approvals and the CC role. I have mentioned my email ID. Now to trigger this workflow creation, the workflow is one thing and triggering the workflow can only possible when you are assigning that workflow. To assign that workflow, I will duplicate this screen. What is the NDFAC object business unit? Well, all these MDF objects are configured in one figure, object definition. Correct. I will go to configure object definition. And when I go to configure object definition, I will select object definition and here I will go to this one. What is the business unit? After going into the business unit, there is a field by name workflow routine. Can you see workflow routine? What I will do, I will go into take action, make the action, and I will scroll down, go to the workflow routine, and what is the workflow which I created that? This is that this I will copy it. I will go back here and I will try to paste it here. You can see here is populating and then I will save. Here when we are going with MDF, we have a direct option to assign the workflow in the workflow routine, which we have already done here. Now, if you want to do the testing for creating the record or changing anything in the world for the MDF object where we are going manage that, right? We go to manage data. And if I want to go and create a business unit, let me take this as 21. I'm taking this. And here I will mention that is, let's take something. And status act like it. Now I'm just saving it. If the workflow is there and when I say, and you said, when I'm just trying to save this, if the workflow is there, it should not say, it should trigger a workflow and it will give a proper. Let me go and click on this. Can you see here it is not allowing us to say what it is saying, that a workflow is assigned is connected to this particular object. And these are the level of approvals. Can you see here? Joe's mother, Alex. The personal email which I mentioned, that is also shown in the real time also. It will look like this. But who are the approvals? That is the decision taken by the customer. Once this has been there, now as an end user, I can only see all the HR admin. I can see the workflow, but if I was an admin, I want to also see now what is the workflow which is being configured. Just to keep the cursor here, you can see the name of the workflow will be populating here. Can you see the name of the workflow? That is the thing. Now I'm just initiating the workflow that it should send to the first level of approval. Now what I will do? I will just click on confirm. Once I click on confirm a workflow, notification will be sent to this user. Depends upon that. Now it is still pending. It will be pending until the entire workflow will be completed. What I will do? I will duplicate the screen. After duplicating the screen, I will proxy to that user. Because I need to proxy that to that user, I will proxy to. What is this name? Jaws and right. Jot. This is the user. When I proxy to the user notification issue to receive a notification in the home page. Let's see if the notification is received in the home page or not. You can see here, this is a notification. Request for the approval. He can able to review and he can approve it. How he can approve it? He can click on approve or click approve with comments. Once you click on approve, this will be this note. This request will be went from here and it will go to the second up, whoever is the second up. Who is the second up in the list? Second approval is M, I think. Let me go to M. I am boxing to the M I like now. First, I proxy to JAWS and got approved. Now it has the workflow request has been moved to the second level, that is to JAWS. And let me go and scroll down. You can see for JAWS, and I am boxing to the JAWS and as a JAWS and sorry proxy to M. And as I am, I can see this request is there. Now if I want to click on review and approve, I will click on review. When I click on review, it will take me to the workflow details page. In the workflow detail page specifies what was the requirement, what the changes happened, who was initiated it, who was approved it. All details will be showing here. If I want to pass a second up, if I want to see what all participants are there, I can also see the participant. In this, I can see the first participant has supported. Second is the participant which I proxy to you now. And as a second participant, I can see who all are the participants, who has been approved. This is from the View and Approve tab. I can able to redirect to the workflow request, workflow details, and from there I can able to go and see this from the workflow details. Now if I say second approval, I can this assign to me in the real time. It will not come. I will come to send, back, reject or approve if I am putting some comment here. And I am picking on a pool. What will happen? It will also move from here. Now who levels of approval has been completed. Now coming into the third level. Before going into third level, if as an initiator, if I want to know that what is the status of the workflow, how will I go and check? For that, as an admin, there is also a configuration tool called Manage Workflow. Manage Workflow Request. After going into Manage Workflow Request, in the manual for the course, we can see requested by requested for the question type. All these details requested by, who has requested by. That is this one. This idea I can mention because I want to search the workflow, my work. How will I search? Who was initiated? I have initiated, right? It is always easy to search with my name. What all work for which has been initiated from my end of my account. When you go here, you can see here, one is request type, one is action requested by, requested for request status comes over whichever. Whichever request has been completed there. That take action option is totally free. We will just scroll down and see if any other action is open or not. You can see couple of actions are open. One action is open here where I think this was the request which we have initiated, right? We are seeing it is pending. Correct. Now in this take action, we have this option here where we can add another approval also. Once the workflow is in the process also, we can try to add another approval. That is also possible. This is sometimes also an interview question. When the workflow is already in use, can we delete a workflow? Can we remove approval? Can we change the route? Can we change the approval? This is also possible. Can we decline the workflow? That is also possible by clicking from here until and unless the workflow is been pending in the pending stage. As an initiator, I will be going into manage workflow request and I can able to go. When I click on here, it will again take me to the workflow detail in the previous screen, how I went as an approval from you and approve. Second, that is for the approval to view. This is the initiator view from the manage workflow. As an initiator, I can go and see the workflow which is being initiated, my being who has approved it. And here also I can see the status here. As an approval, there is a way how the approval can see what all of the approvals who has approved it as an initiator. This is the way I can able to go and see. Now what I will do, the last is pending with Alex, right? I will go to Alex. When I scroll down here as an Alex, I can see here the workflow as I have received the workflow where I can able to see, review and approve. Again here I can able to as a final approval, I can see. Here I have not mentioned any edit transition. When you will try from here and you will try to add edit with route change, edit without route change, you try to explore that part also. As a final approval, I can see who has approved it. And when I will go and click on and approved it, then in the CC role, a final notification will be sent. When I click on approve and let me become self, after becoming, let me go to the manage data. And here I will let now still it is first there in the pending approved. Let me refresh it once. After all approvals, you can see the workflow. The record has been finally created and seen. This is something, a Penta process, which will be for the end user. But as a consultant, we are setting up the configuration for them. As a consultant, we will be not executing any workflow, but in case in the workflow is not working, that is one scenario in case if there is a new requirement from the customer and for that new requirement we have to set up a new workflow. Then we, as a developer, we need to go and create it. We should know how we need to go and configure a workflow. This is one scenario which was in the case of an MDF object, where we can directly assign the workflow in the configure object definition. There is an option available. If you are assigning it in business unit and if you are changing something, division or department, you cannot expect the workflow should go wherever the workflow is assigned. You have to perform the action in that object. That is one thing, and the workflow should trigger for the employee related fields. For employee related fields, we don't have a concept, we don't have any feature where we can directly assign the workflow. For workflow to assign in employee related field, there is a middle level feature that is known as business. We will write a business rule. We will call that particular workflow in the business rule, and after calling that workflow in the business rule, we will assign that business rule in the employee related fields. For assigning the business rule in employee related field, we have already discussed initially. That is where the employee related fields are maintained in succession data model or in managed business configuration. Correct. If you remember, we have seen in managed business configuration, we see UI that there are HRS fields and below that we have trigger rule section, right? I told you that when we start with again workflow business rules, we will again come back to that particular tool again. Now we have seen one scenario where we were trying to perform an action for NDF object and we can directly assign the business rule. Sorry, assign the workflow in the workflow routing option here. This was easily done. The purpose was that when the action is performed, the workflow should trigger. A notification should be sent to the approvals. But in employee-related fields, which we cannot directly assign the workflow has to be triggered with the help of a business. Before going and seeing what is a business rule, let's go and complete the event and event reason also. I'm posing the topic for a workflow. We know how to create a workflow that we have seen. The question is that after creating a workflow, how to assign the workflow to the employee related field. We should have a business rule. Before going into the business rule, let me cover up the topic event and event reason. Then we can go into the business rule also. Let me event reason coming into event and event reason. Let me go here. Coming into the event and event reason. To understand the event and event reason, what is an event? In SAP R, we call as an action. Any action, it is a set of action or the transaction that takes place in the employee center. Any action or transaction that takes place in the employee center, that is known as an event. A transaction occurs when an employee or the manager or an admin makes a change to the employment or personal information or an employee profile. Example, maybe transaction includes the transfer, job change, updating the home address, compensation. Change. All these are coming under the call lesson event. Reason for keeping this record of transaction. Reason for keeping this record of transaction, such as to keep the historical record. We want to keep the historical record for the reporting or create some report and for legal purpose to show the change of an employee data over time, to trigger any approval process, to show the change of an employee time to herself, an employee is getting promoted. He can also see what from last 2 years, what was the position, what was the grade he was holding, and now he's been elevated into which level. Time to time, he can also see in his employee profile the changes which is going on, and every change will go with it after the whole process. Employee Central provides system-defined events. Whatever the events are there are some list of events. Those list of events are the standard events, that is system-defined events. That is already defined by SAP, the label of the event. Whatever is the list of the event, the label of the event can be changed, altered, but it is not possible to add a new event. We cannot create a new event, but the label can be altered. That is one thing. Event is being always controlled from a set of design. There are already list of events which is already defined by SAP. We can see those events. Those are the standard events. We cannot go and create our own event, but we can modify by changing the label of the existing events. And we cannot, it is not possible to add a new event. And to summarize, event is overall control from the SAP side as a consultant on, as I had been. We cannot go and create a new event. Then what SAP has done? SAP came across with another feature after the event that is called as an event. Whenever an event in an event that is transactional action is been occurring, there is a reason behind that action. You are hiding a person. What is the reason behind it, or you're terminating a person? What is the reason for the termination? It is a voluntary termination, or it is a normal termination, or it is a misconduct termination with benefits. All these things we can able to go and analyze what is the reason behind it. What SAP has done? They have created another feature that is called as an event reason. Event reason are defined by the customer or by the consultant, and they are used to define more specifically the reason why an event has taken place. An event has taken place. A hiring is going on. What is the reason for the hiring? It is a contractual hiring. It is a permanent hiring. It is a new hiring. That is the reason which we can able to define in the system. To define the event in the system, we have a reason for it. That is the event reason. When SAP has introduced this feature event reason, they have also kept this event reason under the foundation. Event reason is a foundation option. When a manager or an admin changes an employee data, for example, by increasing the salary or changing the department, the reason behind this change is normally that an event has taken place in the employee's professional life. Event could be a promotion or a transfer to the another department. These events' reason can be configured from the foundation of them. How we are going and creating the records for foundation of that from manage of the pay structure. Event reason was a flow and the dynamic role. As I told, these are the other foundation objects. All these other foundation objects from where we are creating for manage of the pay structure. When we go further, event reason is a foundation of this and is created and customized by the customer. That is one thing. And another thing is that event reason must be connected with a hardcore event in the system. To create an event reason where we are going into manage of the pay structure, When I want to go here into manage of the pay structure, I can go and see the event reasons. Would be there. And if I want to go and take any new hire, suppose event reason. Here we can take, you can see the event is a name description status. When I go and click on me correction, we can see here the event. You can see the list of the events. These events are the standard events. Whenever we are going and creating an event reason, it has to be mapped to the event, to a particular event. That only it is specifying here that it is even reason must be connected to a hardcore event in the system. While creating it, you can see even this is mandatory field. You have to specify this event is connected with which event that we need to take. Also, it also gives an importance that what is the employee status. Employee status is also connected with the event, reason and event. That is also the observation we can able to go and see. Once this event reason is created, then we can whatever action which you're performing, whenever we are going and performing an action, when you go and into an employee profile, when you are performing an action, each and every time you need to define what is an event and event reason. Let me go here and let me open a user here to show you. I'm opening an employee profile. Now, when I'm just going here into the action, change job and comp action. Here I'm selecting as a job info, selecting a date here. Now, whenever you are making, suppose I'm making a change in the position. When I'm changing a position, how the system will know that I am changing a position? I have to notify to the system that what is the event and what the event reason. What is the event and what is the event when I am just notifying to the system? They will understand, and according to that, the changes will be updated in the system. When I'm changing the position here, there are two mandatory fields. One is an event and one is an event reason. One is an event and one is an event reason. We need to specify here what is the event and event is. Now the event and event reason is not showing here. The reason is that before going into the third feature which SAP has introduced, before that, what SAP, what the standard behavior was that whenever an end user is changing the value in the record, employee and employee profile, they have to specify manually the event and event reason. That is something always a manual process they have to maintain. To avoid this process, what SAP has done, they have given an option in the provisioning. When you are enabling that option in the provisioning, these two features will not be available. These new features will be removed. Let me show you in the Word document. I'm opening a Word file, which is where we have the screenshot taken from the provisioning. Please let me know if the screenshot is visible or not. It's not opened yet. Maybe it will be a blood image. I will just expand it for the right. Here you can see it. Enable business role for event is in derivation. This option will be there. We need to enable this option. That is the third feature which will go and see that is the event is in derivation. That is the third feature under the event and event design. That is event design derivation. When you are introducing this feature here from the provisioning, what will happen? The options which are showing here, that event and event design, both are mandatory. That will be removed, but how the system will know what is the event and what is the event reason? Although we have created the event reason here, we have created an event reason, but we need to, when this system will know this event. This is the action when the action is performing this event. This is the event reason for that particular action. That can only possible when, according to that action, that event reason will trigger. When the event is in will trigger when you have to notify to the system. Earlier, you are entering manually into the system. Now we have removed that option. What will happen? We have to write a business rule that only it is saying that enable the business rule. Enable. The business rule for the event is in derivation. We need to write a business rule and we need to call that event reason in the business rule and then assign that event reason to that particular employee related field. Then only you can see that whenever the action is performed, the rule will be getting triggered and the event reason is getting notified to the system. Here when you go and see in the employee profile, when I am trying to change it in the employee profile and the job information, this is the field. I am changing the value for this field. That is the position. And I am changing the value, what is happening. An action is performed. How the system will know that an action is being performed? Because an action is nothing but an event. And what is the reason behind that event? That is an event reason. We need to do it manually. But when we have removed that option, how the system will know? For that we have to write a condition. When we write a condition, that condition has to match with the action which has been performed. The condition and the action should match each other. And when the condition is getting satisfied as per the action which is performed, then the rule will trigger. And when the rule will trigger the event, reason will be getting triggered. And according to that, it is getting notified to the system that this is the event and this is the event reason. And according to that, it will be saved automatically. Earlier, when you click on the save button, it will not save because you have to maintain here. Even an event is in manually. Now, when you are removed it, when you click on save, then also it will not save because they will. First of all, the system will try to identify any. This is the rule is there and in the background, they will try to validate it. What is the action which is performed and according to that action? What is the rule? What is the condition which has been defined in the rule? According to that, the rule will trigger and the action will be performed. and a notification, that is even an event reason, will be sent to the system. And when it is being notified to the system, whatever the action which is being performed, that will be saved automatically. Got it? This is the background process which goes on. For that, what we are doing, we are going to creating an event reason. We know what is the event. Event did something as a standard one that is predefined. These are something we are not creating. This it is already been created by SAP. Then after that, when we are going and creating an event reason, we need to specify what is the event reason for that particular event. And when we are creating an event is automatically mapped with the event. Here you can see. Now, when an event is, it has to trigger. And the one thing is that you have to, if you are enabling this option, then you are enabling the rule conditions. We can write a rule and rather entering here in the employee profile, that is in the people profile manually. We can go and we can perform it automatically, notifying to the system with the help of a business. That is about the event and event reason and even this derivation. Let me go back into the system. When you go here, we can see here there are certain, I have created a table. These are something as a standard. Even that is data change, higher leave of absence, pay rate, termination and transfer. You can see that if a data changes, there is a reason behind that data change. That is a change of the business unit correction, status change. Anything can be there. Then if you have a hire, what is the hire? It is a new high contract. You have something which is related to the onboarding that we go into the hire part. Leave of absence means what leave of absence means, education, long-term disability. All these things will be the reasons which is coming for the leave of absence. Pay rate change, that is something which is related to the salary increase adjustment, high bonus transfer and something which is related to the cost of leaving. Similarly, case with the termination. When you go into the termination, what is the type of termination? We can look the voluntary termination misconduct. We are specifying the event, this event reason from where we are defining it here in the manage of the pay structure, where we are specifying the event reason. And when you are creating an event reason, we are also specifying what is the event. What is the event for that particular event reason? Got. These are some examples how we can see what are the events and what are the event reason. Now in the interview, if they want to know how we can able to track what are the standard events for that. All the standard events we can able to go and see, where we can go and see in the pickle center. When you go and see in the center, this is the standard event. 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 This is where we can find from the Pickle Center and how these events can be downloaded. We go to import and export. This also we have seen when we went into MDF object, import and export data. Here you can mention that Pickle. Here you can select export. Generic object will be the select the generic object as a pick list. Pick list values. When you selected the generic object as a pick list value, select the include dependencies as no. After selecting the include dependencies as no, we need to click on the export button. Then you click on the export button here. You can see the export request has been submitted. If you want to go and see where we can able to extract that report, go to monitor job. When you go to monitor job, you can see this is something which we have done like. Now when you click on the download status here, you can see all the pick list values we can able to download. You can click on the pick list value. Is the Excel visible? A new Excel has been opened. Now you can see from the export, from import and export, I have downloaded all the pick list values. I'm just aligning it. It's still in the process. Now you can see this is something, the pick list code which we are seeing, and this is the, here I can put here as a filter. And here I can search for event. Let me go and search for event. You can see event. You can see all the events will be there. Event the external code. And whatever the values are there, that values will be shown here. Let's go and align it. I'm just aligning. I have aligned it. When I go here, you can see here how it is there. We have the operator. We have the code, the values in English, or the translations will be there. That we have already completed, if you remember, in the on figure object definition. When we are going and creating custom MDF, we have completed that topic. That also we can see here. All other languages will be there. In this way, for all the events, we can able to go and track it finally. From there, for finding the events, we can do it from the Pickly Center, downloading from import and export. Got. This is also sometimes an interview question where we can find the standard events and how we can able to. If you want to take the summary of all the events from where we can able to go and see. Here we have completed this one, that is event and event reason, and even this and derivation, also event reason derivation. Why we are using? Because after creation of the event reason and mapping with the event whenever an action is being performed, each and every time we need to enter even to send manually the employee profile, then only the system will be there and only the changes will be saved in the system. To avoid that, we have enabled that option from the provisioning, and after that these options will not be available. That is even an event reason. But how the system will get notified? We have to write a business. Once we write a business from the front end system, in the business we will be calling that particular event reason in the business, and according to that, whenever the action is performed, system will try to validate if any rule is there. If any rule is there, system will try to verify what is the condition in the rule and what is the action is performed. If the condition in the rule and the action is performed, this matching, then the rule will be set and it will be triggered, and even event reason will be notified to the system, and the action and the changes will be saved automatically. This is something which is being performed automatically with the help of a business. Same thing applies for workflow also. That is the reason I pause the workflow and I just try to complete the event reason also, event and event reason. These two features are different. Always keep it as a different, only that is workflow is different and event reason is different. Whenever we are writing a rule condition, we should not club both the features in a single system, will not accept it. That is by default the standard behavior of the SAP system. Whenever we want to write a rule for workflow, we have to write a rule separately, and event reason, we have to write a rule separately. Earlier, what was happening whenever we are writing a condition, all these conditions, earlier we were also maintaining XML, that is event reason derivation XML. We have discussed in data model that 7 data models are there. Out of that, 3 data models we are not in use. One of the data model was event reason derivation XNL. Now in the month of now, but not this release, previous to this release in 2022 now, but this data model, this XML has got depredicated. Now, we are not using this XML. The reason SAP has removed plan to remove this XML deprecated means now there will not be any changes, maintenance for that particular application. It is the end of the life cycle for that particular feature. Why the reason they are ending up the feature? The reason is that everything now can be maintained from the front end with the help of a business rule. Before 2022, now as customer was having two options: either they can maintain all the conditions in the XML or they can maintain the conditions in the business rule, any one of the area, either from the front end or from the back end system. But a lot of customers, they used to maintain all the conditions in the front end because in the future this will be automatically get deprecated, and that was happened in the previous release, that is 2022. Now that they have decided to go for the end of the maintenance for this particular feature, and there will not be any further update modification of this feature. All the event reasoned, everything will be maintained and configured with the help of business from the front end, which lot of customers are doing already. Same case with workflow. Also, when we discuss about workflow in data model, we have another data model, that is workflow derivation XML, right? Workflow derivation XML is also one of the data model which is there from the provisioning, but as the introduction of the business rule for any action when we are performing in for employee profile. For those changes, if the workflow has to trigger, we have to write a condition, and that condition can be maintained in workflow XML also. Or else we can maintain the condition in the business also. As of now, both options are available, but slowly. Now what is also happening slowly? Lot of customers, they are also migrating this workflow derivation from all the configurations from the XML to the front end to the business. Also, because in the future again, this workflow derivation will also get deprecated. Already event reason derivation has already been deprecated. Workflow will also. They will also go and end for the plan for end of the maintenance for this particular feature also. A lot of customers, they are already moving all the configurations and the condition which is maintained in the XML for the workflow. Now they are moving it into the front end, that whatever the configuration now and future they will be creating, all it will be maintained from the front end. Whenever we want to write a rule, condition workflow will be separate and event reason will be separate. And then we need to go and create a business rule for the workflow and for the event reason separately, and try to test it in the employee profile, how we have tested today for the MDF. Simultaneously with single testing, we can see how the workflow is getting triggered and how the event reason is getting triggered with two different rules. And apart from that, business rule is a conceptual topic where the conditions, we cannot able to predefine any condition. We should understand how the rules has to be written according to the scenario, what is being given by the customer we need. We should know how to write a rule. Once we start with the business rule overview, and when we start going and creating the rule, you can also have those examples. Those are the examples of the business rules. When you have some 15 to 20 examples, when you try to explore, you should know how to write a business rule independently. This rule condition is nothing where we cannot able to buy, hurt or something in advance. This is something where we should know what is the functionality, what is the features which are available in the rule, and how to utilize that feature when you are writing a business rule. Customer can give you any scenario. Customer can say that I want a custom field, and that custom field should be for a particular country, and when your admin will go into an employee profile, that custom field should be editable. When employee will go into his employee profile, that custom field should be readable mode. Everything can be controlled from the business rule. Some things are there, some part we can able to do it from the RBP, that is role-based permission. But role-based permission also has a certain limitation, where the RBP cannot able to control certain permission, that permissions can be done with the help of a business rule. But we should know how to write the business rule. First of all, we should understand the scenario which is coming from the customer and how to frame that scenario in the condition in the business rule. And after framing the condition in the business rule, we need to assign that condition at the right area. That is also very important. And once we assign it, then we need to. Third step is we need to test it. Is the rule is working correctly or not? Please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@therightuptalk.com.